I don't think their message of we're making tough decisions, you're going to have to swallow it, is going to fly. You know, if they want to make tough decisions, pick the phone up to Jeff Bezos, tell him that billionaires are going to actually have to pay more corporation tax and pay more income tax. They're not doing that, so they're not actually making tough decisions. I think they're delivering what are easy political solutions for them.
There was talk, wasn't there, like during the election from people more on the left, that there was a hope that this was all sort of the Ming-Vaz strategy, and once they did get into power, they would be a lot bolder. Do you think there's still hope for that yet, that they'll take bolder decisions? Or do you think really we got exactly what we were offered and maybe even less?
I mean, I'm not sure Labour were promising to be that bold during the general election.
No, I think they weren't promising it, but people thought, oh, they're just saying these things, but when they get into government, they'll be a bit bolder.
I have to say I never harboured that hope. I think that Labour were quite upfront, personally, in the general election campaign. I think where we have seen them be bolder is where they have been pushed to be bold. And there is a lesson there for, you know, anyone listening to this, the general public. If you want to see Labour deliver on something, we are going to have to make it clear that it matters. So there's still the chance that they will be overturned on the winter fuel payment. You know, our union is campaigning for a different way of funding higher education. We're not going to give up just because we're getting negative answers from Labour, and I wouldn't encourage anybody else to. People keeping pressure up is the only way change ever happens.
Do you think that the Labour Party is still a welcome space for people on the left? Obviously, those who voted against keeping the two-child benefit cap immediately lost the whip, and it seems like it's quite a hostile environment for people to think different things.
I think that Keir Starmer needs to seriously rethink his strategy as to how he is dealing with left-wing MPs that don't want to vote for punitive measures that damage working people. Whether or not that makes Labour unwelcoming, I think remains to be seen. I think they're sending a clear message that it's not up for dissent. I think that's wrong. I think it's unhelpful. I think it's going to gift the Tories a number of divisions and splits, and it's clearly not what British working people want. It's not what any working people in Britain want, whether they're British or not.
And one question on universities. Obviously, there's been recently the idea floated that it's a good idea to increase university fees to pass on to students, because obviously universities are under financial pressure. We've seen a lot of strikes. They always say that they just don't have the money. What's your position on that? I know the ECU against raising fees.
In my opinion, handing extra fee income to university bosses at this moment is like handing arsonists fuel. They have lobbied for a model that does not work. Why should we now allow them to get more money through a model that does not work? Under the model that they've suggested, where fees would go up to £13,000, that would be £5.1 billion of extra student debt. It would be 6 in 10 students not paying their debt back. So even if you believe in fees, even if you believe in that model is not working on its own terms. So why would we say, yeah, take more cash? You're kicking the can down the road. You're not addressing the structural issue. The only way higher education works is if you fund it properly. We're suggesting a corporation tax levy, a business levy, to do that. We think it's a much better model, and we'd like to see Labour favour something like that rather than more student debt.
Do they need more money, universities, or do they need restructuring?
I think they need a number of things. They need secure funding streams. They don't have that at the minute. The funding that they get is essentially through student fees, so it's very volatile. I think that would solve a huge amount of the issues that universities have. So that's one thing. And you know, student number distribution, so that institutions can't hoover some up to the detriment of others. I think restructuring, if we were wanting to see universities restructured, it would be alongside democratic governance from all parties involved, students and staff, rather than just managers like we currently see.